Hey guys, it's Saga from TechWorks, and I finally have the camera comparison between the OnePlus 8 and the OnePlus 7T. Almost half the comments on my OnePlus 8's camera review were requests for this video. Even I was curious to compare the cameras and see if the ones on the OnePlus 8 are really an upgrade over the OnePlus 7T, and if cameras are your only concern, should you really spend the extra money on the OnePlus 8 or should you stick to the OnePlus 7T and save some money? All these questions will be answered in this video, as we will be taking a look at over 70 image and video samples from both these phones. Before we get into the specifics of the cameras on both these phones, if you are new to this channel, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon next to it. That way, you won't miss out any of the exciting videos that are coming out in the next few days. Both the phones get a triple camera setup on their back, but the design of the camera module is very different on both. I like how the circular module looks on the OnePlus 7T, but on the 8, OnePlus decided to go back to the shape that they used on the OnePlus 7 Pro. Primary camera on both these phones get the same optically stabilized 48MP Sony IMX586 sensor. On the OnePlus 7T, it is coupled with f1.6 aperture and a 7-element lens, which gives it a 26mm focal length. While the one on the OnePlus 8 gets f1.75 aperture and a 6-element lens, again giving it a 26mm focal length. Aperture size and lens optics take a step back as we go from the OnePlus 7T to the OnePlus 8. I'm not sure what OnePlus is trying to pull here, because even after charging more money for the OnePlus 8, the lens optics on its primary camera seems to be inferior than the one on the OnePlus 7T. Next, both get a 16MP sensor with f2.2 aperture and an ultra-wide lens. On the OnePlus 7T, this ultra-wide lens is also used for taking macro shots, while the OnePlus 8 gets a separate 2MP macro sensor with f2.4 aperture. OnePlus 7T gets another 12MP sensor with f2.2 aperture and a 51mm lens, which gives it a 2x optical zoom. You don't get this lens on the OnePlus 8, so it has to rely on 2x digital zoom. Both the phones can shoot 4K videos at 30 or 60 fps, 1080p videos at 30, 60 and 240 fps, and 720p videos at 480 fps with the primary camera. With the wide camera on both, you can shoot 4K and 1080p videos at 30 fps. Telephoto camera on the 7T can shoot 4K and 1080p videos in 30 and 60 fps. At the front, both these phones again get the same 16MP Sony IMX471 sensor. One on the 7T gets a slightly wider field of view and f2.0 aperture, while the one on the OnePlus 8 gets a much narrower f2.45 aperture. If we just look at the camera specs, OnePlus 8 doesn't even look like an upgrade over the OnePlus 7T. But maybe the image signal processor on the Snapdragon 865 will help it deliver better results. Now the interface of the camera app has changed a bit on the OnePlus 8. But if I start talking about all the changes, the video will get much longer than it already is. So if you want a detailed look at the interface of the camera app on both these phones, I suggest you guys take a look at their dedicated camera reviews. I will leave card to both those videos on the top right corner of the screen and also leave links to them in the description section. I feel that I should mention that there is a huge shutter lag on both these phones. There is quite a bit of time when you hit the shutter button and when the image is actually captured. This lag has been present on OnePlus phones for quite some time now, but I don't see too many people talking about it. I just hope OnePlus is working on fixing this. Both these phones are running on the latest version of Oxygen OS, which was available for each of them at the time of uploading this video. After all of that, let us now finally get to the image and video samples from both these phones. Let us start with some of the daytime images. You can tell straight away that images from the OnePlus 7T are a bit warmer, while ones from the OnePlus 8 have cooler color tones. Depending on your preference, you might prefer one over the other, which is completely fine. Normally, I like a bit warmer colors, but in this case, images from the OnePlus 8 are showing more natural and true to life colors. Both these phones have the same primary sensor, but as we zoom in, we see images from the OnePlus 8 showing more details. This is true with all the images, and that is the image signal processor on the Snapdragon 865 at work. It is incredible to see how the same sensor when put on two different phones can give us such different results. Another change is the way both of them capture colors. 7T captures a bit more contrast and more saturated colors, and as I said before, OnePlus 8 captures colors that are more true to life. Its images are not overly saturated, and they look even better when compared to the ones from the OnePlus 7T. Now the 7T doesn't capture bad images at all. It is just that the ones from the OnePlus 8 look better in comparison. Although OnePlus 8 gets the new Ultra Short HDR feature, I found the dynamic range to be better in the images from the OnePlus 7T. You can see that 7T brought back more details from the shadows while preserving most of the details in the highlights. For some weird reason, there is also much more noise in the image from the OnePlus 8, which you can see as we zoom in on this part. Coming to the close-up shots. Unlike previous OnePlus smartphones, both of these are very quick at accurately setting the focus, making the subjects in these close-up shots appear sharp, and since 48 megapixel sensor is large, we see a very nice optical blur to the background. Again, close-up shots from the OnePlus 7T have more saturation and contrast, which depending on your preference, you may or may not like. But other than that, close-up shots look equally good from both. I prefer the ones from the OnePlus 8 just because the way its colors look. Both these phones can take macro shots, but the OnePlus 7T uses the wide lens for this, while the OnePlus 8 gets a separate camera for this purpose. Normally, I am pretty happy with the 2 megapixel macro cameras on most budget smartphones, but the one on the OnePlus 8 is just not good at all. First of all, the minimum focusing distance is not very close when compared to other macro cameras, and secondly, it barely captures any details. On the other hand, macros from the OnePlus 7T look pretty good. This is how close you can get to the subject on the OnePlus 7T, and this is how close you can get on the OnePlus 8. But there is a workaround for this. Instead of taking shots with the 2 megapixel macro camera, you can zoom in 2 to 3 times with the primary camera itself and get much better results, as you can see. 7T can take good macro shots, but you can use this trick on it as well to get slightly more details in the macro shots. Look at how amazing these digitally zoomed in shots look from the main camera as opposed to the shots from the macro camera. Since the main camera has a larger sensor and a very wide aperture, background also gets a very nice optical blur, making these shots stand out even more. We have seen this image from the primary cameras on both the phones, and this is how much more of the scene wide lens on both let you get in the shot. It is great when you have to capture more of the scene and you don't have any more space to move back. Wide lens also comes in handy when we want to show the scale of things. When you switch from normal to wide lens, we see a clear shift in color temperature on both these phones. 7T also brings back the weird green tint that we saw in some of the older OnePlus smartphones. Hopefully, OnePlus is working on matching the color temperature of the normal and the wide lens on both these phones. Now 7T gets a third 2x telephoto lens, while the OnePlus 8 has to rely on digital zoom for taking shots like this. If we zoom in even a bit, it is apparent that image from the OnePlus 7T's telephoto lens is sharper and has more details. These wide images are not as detailed as the ones from the primary cameras on both the phones. But if we zoom in and compare these wide shots, ones from the OnePlus 8 are more detailed compared to the ones from the OnePlus 7T. All the images that we saw from the primary camera of both these phones were 12 megapixel ones. But if you want, both of them let you take 48 megapixel images as well. These images do capture a lot of details, but you will have to zoom way in on them to notice any difference between these and the 12 megapixel ones. These 48 megapixel images also take a lot of storage space, and the dynamic range is also not that great while shooting at this resolution. So my suggestion would be to stick with the default 12 megapixel mode for most of your shots. Now coming to the portrait mode. This is my favorite mode to shoot in on any smartphone. As I've said before, it is the easiest way to give your images a professional look. On both the phones, you get to choose between taking portrait shots in the 2x or normal wide mode. On the 7T, it uses the telephoto lens when you choose the 2x mode, but on the OnePlus 8, it just zooms in on the image from the primary camera. Now coming to the actual portrait shots, ones from the OnePlus 8 are so much better with sharper subjects and better dynamic range. Faces are extremely soft in the portraits from the OnePlus 7T, and this issue has been there since the beginning, but OnePlus hasn't managed to fix it yet. OnePlus 8 is a bit too aggressive with the HDR mode while taking portraits, and some of its images might look a bit overprocessed. But overall, thanks to the sharper subject, I would prefer to take these shots with the OnePlus 8 anyway. Edge detection is pretty much similar on both, and it can use a bit of refinement via software updates. This edge detection gets a bit better while taking portraits of objects. But then again, subjects that you are trying to focus on are much sharper and detailed in the portraits from the OnePlus 8. So if you like taking portrait shots like me, OnePlus 8 should be your obvious choice between these two. Let us now move on to the images shot in indoors, artificial and lower lighting conditions. Most of the smartphones are often good at taking images when there is ample of light around. But as the light goes down, so does their ability to take good images. OnePlus has made sure to include OIS on the primary cameras of both these phones to help them take better images in lower light with a longer shutter speed. 7T also has a wider aperture than the OnePlus 8, so its sensor gathers more light in the same amount of time, and we can see that in these lower light images. In these situations, OnePlus 7T captures more light and slightly better colors than the OnePlus 8, and it also handles the exposure from the lights in a much better way. The nightscape mode does help both take even better images as the light gets even lower. OnePlus 8 manages to take pretty good looking images here, and when I look at its images alone, I feel they look really good. But when we bring the night side images from the OnePlus 7T next to it, I prefer the ones from the OnePlus 7T. They have slightly more details, better looking colors and overall richer feel to them. It may be because of the slightly wider aperture, or maybe OnePlus is still trying to figure out the best low light settings for the OnePlus 8. But whatever the case may be, in its current state, when it comes to low light, I would pick the OnePlus 7T for taking my images. Coming to the selfie cameras, both of them have the exact same 16 megapixel sensor, but the aperture on the OnePlus 8 is much narrower compared to the OnePlus 7T. These are not the sharpest 16 megapixel selfie cameras, and I think OnePlus needs to start putting some real efforts to improve its performance. Selfie camera from the OnePlus 7T seems to have a slightly wider field of view. These selfies do get the job done, but none of them are truly very good. Now the portrait selfies appear to be a bit sharper from both, but that is just because rest of the background is blurred out. Edge detection is good from both for these portrait selfies, but in this case, I prefer slightly warmer colors from the OnePlus 7T. If you take a lot of selfies, I don't think you are going to be completely satisfied with the front-facing cameras on either of these phones. Here's a video from the front-facing camera of the OnePlus 8 and the OnePlus 7T. You can see how both of them are handling the overall colors of the scene and exposure. I wanted to show you guys how they handle the stabilization, but as you can see it is raining outside and none of these phones are waterproof. At least they don't have an official IP rating. Both the phones can take 4K videos in up to 60 FPS. These videos are a bit oversaturated, but other than that, they look really good. And thanks to electronic stabilization, they are extremely smooth. So if you want to use either of these phones for vlogging, you can get some amazingly smooth footage from the main rear camera. Both of them can shoot 240 FPS slow motion videos at 1080p resolution. And if you want to shoot 480 FPS slow motion videos, then the resolution drops down to 720p. OnePlus 7T is getting a super slow motion 960 FPS mode at 720p in an upcoming update. And if the 7T could do it, I'm sure OnePlus will release this for the OnePlus 8 as well in a few months. So there you have it. After checking out all these image and video samples, it is clear that the Snapdragon 865 processor on the OnePlus 8 helps it take better images with the same primary sensor. Its daylight images are more detailed and it shows better contrast levels and natural looking colors for the most part. It also takes much better portrait shots, and what it lacks in the macro mode could be made up with the trick that I have mentioned in the video. OnePlus 7T is a bit better at taking selfies and a lot better in lower lighting situations, both with and without the night side mode. And as much as I like the dedicated telephoto lens on the 7T, overall if I had to choose one of these, I would have to go with the OnePlus 8 as my choice for taking images and videos. Although it mostly gets the same sensors as the 7T, OnePlus 8 has got a better ISP which helps it deliver better results, and OnePlus can make it even better with software updates down the line. If we are being honest, the difference in the images is not night and day, and most average users won't even notice it unless they are comparing these images side by side. So you will have to be the judge if the difference in these images is worth the extra money for you or not. If I was making this choice, I would go with the OnePlus 8, mainly because I like the colors in its images better, and I mostly take portraits with my smartphone, which as we saw are much better from this phone than the 7T. And when I say I am choosing the OnePlus 8, for the extra money I am not only getting a slightly improved camera performance, but also a newer processor and a GPU combo, new design and a considerably larger battery. And I think all these things combined are worth the extra money for me. Which one would you choose and why? Definitely let me know in the comments. And if you are planning on getting any of these phones, I will really appreciate if you get them from the affiliate links in the description section. That is it for this video guys. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel for more quality tech videos like this. You can also check out some of the other videos from this channel. This has been Sagar and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care.